Legendary boons. These are some of the strongest boons you can get in Hades 2, or at least they should be. But which of these legendary boons are worth fishing for, and which ones should you just leave in the ocean, I guess? Today, we're making a tier list of all the legendary boons, and adding a tier to our tier list. That's right, we're adding a D tier to the tier list. So far, everything's been C tier or above, but finally, we have some stuff that I think is actually bad, that I don't like. Before we get started, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It makes sure that you see the videos. It makes sure other people see the videos so they can also get mad at me. Feel free to get a group of friends together to hate me for putting whatever boon I put into D tier and have them come to the video and be mad at me. That'd be fine. I'd be okay with it. If you just want to watch a bunch of videos with my voice, check out the Sleeping with Tulok playlist. It's got all of our most recent videos from across all of our channels, including the Magic the Gathering channel, where we're building some Hades Commander cards. Go check that out if you like Magic the Gathering. Now, let's get started with the stinker. Now, I know this one's going to be controversial, but I am so sorry. Paid dues from Hermes stinks. This one makes it so that you do not take damage and instead just lose money when you get hit. Similar to Dark Side, I don't like the thing that makes you invincible. What gives? Well, what gives is my money. I want my money to buy boons, to do more damage, to kill things faster, instead of not having money, so I can't buy anything, and my build sucks now.
It's my money and I need it now!
For every point of damage you would take, you instead lose 3 gold, and 3 gold per damage adds up pretty fast against these higher level bosses. Well, that's a skill issue. You simply shouldn't get hit. How could it be a skill issue? I'm not planning to get hit. Here's the thing, if you're planning to not get hit, then you don't need this. This doesn't give you any value. You're not getting hit already. If you are gonna get hit, this drastically cuts your offense down by preventing you from buying a bunch of boons that would help you do more damage and kill things faster. I also want to talk about a little 2-letter word here. If. A lot of people like to defend things by saying if. If you have double up from Poseidon and the thing that gets you more money from Poseidon and the thing that gets you more money from Hermes, then this makes you basically invincible. Yeah, but if Potential Man is here. Potential, always if, never is. I'm looking for whens, And the legendary boons higher up on this list have when, not if. They're not conditional on having 3 other boons to make them good. This one, I just don't like, and yeah, I'd like to keep my money to spend it on better things. Like today's sponsor, Raycon. That's right, gamers, this video is sponsored by Raycon and their bone conduction headphones. Bone conduction is some science fiction type-ish. Instead of sending the sound directly into your ear holes, it connects to the bones in your ear and sends the sound to your brain that way. Why would you want something like that? Well, it helps you stay aware of your surroundings if you're, running out, doing a bunch of errands, but you also want to be on your feet, on your wits in case, a car is coming and might hit you. That's pretty good. It also helps while you're doing chores around the apartment. If you want to talk to your significant other or your roommate while you're doing chores and you don't have to keep going like, sorry? You don't have to keep doing that. You can just leave these in. You can hear your music, you can hear your podcast, but you can still hear what other people are saying. I really love that they're water resistant, so I can wear them in the shower. I can wear them when I get out of the shower and my ears are wet. Putting an earbud in a wet ear hole is just an icky feeling. It's not great. These go on outside, so doesn't really matter. And it won't affect the quality of the headphones, of the sound you're getting, and it won't damage them. Raycon's also offering 20% off bone conduction headphones to Tulok subscribers. If you go to buyraycon.com/heightbc, you'll get 20% off your bone conduction headphones. Again, that's buyraycon.com/heightbc for 20% off your bone conduction headphones. We also put a link in the description for you, because we're nice like that. Now, let's get back to some legendary boons. Now we're going to go into C tier. These are ones that I could see you taking depending on your build, but I think they're kind of a lateral move to some of the other boons you could just get from these gods. And Hephaestus is up here because Hephaestus's legendary boon is the biggest disappointment. It raises the level of your weapon by 1, which can be kind of good on some weapons. I tested it on a few weapons. I did it on the crow cutters. That's where I saw the biggest improvement, doing the crow cutter thing. But most of the time, I just frankly don't really notice the difference. when it gets leveled up by 1 level. And when you compare it to just other boons you could grab from Hephaestus, I don't think this is all that great. And it also just feels like a big missed opportunity, because Hephaestus's Ding Ding boons are some of the most fun boons in the game. He also gives you a ton of armor, and I feel like something where you get like 20 armor every time you hit a Ding Ding for 3 seconds would be so much more interesting and so much more fun than just upgrading your weapon by 1 level. It just doesn't do it for me. It just simply doesn't do it for me. And a lot of the times when I'm looking at other Hephaestus boons, like, I'd rather get Glow, I'd rather get a bigger Ding Ding, I'd rather just get another Ding Ding, if we're being totally honest, than getting this. It's definitely still an improvement. That's why it's not in D tier with Hermes, where I think that actually can hurt you in your run. But this ain't it. This really ain't it, and I'm really disappointed. This legendary boon being so mediocre is one of the reasons Hephaestus wasn't higher on the original tier list. Just, it doesn't synergize with the rest of the stuff he does. It's just, here you go, it's better. Honestly, you could just make this a duo boon between him and someone else, and I think it would fit better. Chaos does have a legendary boon. It gives you a Death Defy. That's going in C tier because it's fine. You know, it's a Death Defy. If you're running a strength run, you specifically wouldn't want to grab this. Although, I've always thought, like, strength enjoyers, you know you can still have Death Defies and still enjoy strength as a way to help you after you lose the Death Defies, right? Like, that's an option too. I guess you're spending 4 Arcana points. Whatever. You get it. Death Defies, they're pretty good. Getting a legendary boon from Chaos that just gives you a Death Defy when Athena can drop down and give you one. And also you have to do a weird penalty to get it, you know, because it's Chaos. So, yeah, C tier. It's definitely better than nothing, but I don't think it's all that great. Look who's back in C tier. I'm so sorry, Ares enjoyers. I just don't think blood is all that great. The blood spillage is definitely a lot more valuable on a slower weapon like the axe, but if you're using something like the torches or the jetpack or the daggers, you're not really gonna notice the increased attack speed all that much. Like, especially on the daggers, like, I can only mash the button so fast, you know, they're already super fast, so getting doubled attack speed on them, what are we playing, Mario Party? I gotta just mash that button so hard, you know, I'm just mashing it. Getting the extra movement speed also seems pretty cool, you know, you get to run around faster, that sounds fun. What I've found when I've gotten up to 100% of those blood is that I'm kind of skating, and I kind of slip, and I move a little bit further than I wanted to. It gets a little bit hard to control when you run that fast, and you can slip into an enemy's attack because you're just going so fast. Definitely think like there's some value to getting twice as much blood and attacking faster, especially on something like the axe, which is slower and definitely could benefit from a lot more movement speed. And even the staff, if you don't have the double strike Daedalus hammer thing, like that could use some attack speed as well. But overall, like, I don't know, the blood just doesn't do it that much for me. If you've got his recovery boon where you get 15 magic per blood droplet recovered, I guess this finally makes that a decent mana recovery option, but it's just kind of a dog water recovery option in general. So this legendary boon making that somewhat worth it. The fact that the balls come to you automatically, again, that's helpful, but that's just kind of how they should be, in my opinion. I don't know. Overall, I just think that this one doesn't really cut the mustard, and I think blood in general is not very great. It's probably why I put Ares in C tier in the God tier list, because a lot of his stuff is blood focused, and I don't think blood is all that good. Blood. Moving up into B tier, we've got Apollo. Apollo doubles your Omega attack and your Omega special, which can be great on some weapons, and on other weapons is kinda meh. If you upgrade your Omega attack or your Omega special in some other way, like with Demeter, I think this gets a lot better, obviously. You know, it fires twice. That's really good. My problem is I don't totally love hitting Omega attacks and Omega specials on a lot of the weapons. Like, I like it on the jetpack, I like it on the skulls, I don't really love it on the daggers, don't really love it on the staff. They're pretty slow on the staff, and to be totally honest, don't really love them on the axe. I know the axe gives you the big slam thing with your Omega special, but it's so slow. And if you don't get something to boost your speed of your Omega attacks, I'd rather just hit stuff. I'd rather just hit stuff with the standard stuff. So doubling up those Omega attacks is pretty cool. I'm not saying it's bad. It's definitely an improvement. Obviously 2 is better than 1, and the extra mana cost isn't a big deal. If you're building for an Omega attack or Omega special boon, you should have a lot of magic, or at least have a good magic recovery option as well. Compared to the other legendary boons though, I just just don't think this is all that great, so I'm putting it in B tier. Hestia, make Fire Circle, and make Fire Circle burn people really, really hard. I think that's pretty good, pretty darn good. It stops ranged attacks from coming in and hitting you. That's obviously pretty solid, and the rest of her kit usually helps you defend yourself. By the rest of her kit, I specifically just mean Hot Pot. That's actually the only one I was talking about there. Pairing this with Hot Pot and getting stuff super duper scorched is pretty great. Pairs well with your ability to make things take scorch damage faster. Also, this does scorch damage faster than regular scorch damage. I don't know how that calculates between all of the other scorches, but whatever. They made it work. I don't really ever pay attention to how fast Scorch goes on. I'm just like, that's 100 damage per second, and that's pretty good. I think Scorch is pretty good. This is a pretty good way to put Scorch on. Putting it on the cast? You know, like it limits you. You've got to play inside your circle. That's not always as fun, and depending on what weapon you're using, it's harder to do. It definitely gets better if you get the Apollo boon that makes your casts expand, but that's an if. You know, we've talked about if, and if is not something I think you should consider when you're trying to review how good something is. You should definitely think more of a when, you know, like when I know I have Hestia in the boon pool, what does her stuff give this to make it better? And there's some stuff there. Overall though, this is more of a defensive option. I'm not as big on defensive options. Look at Hermes in D tier. I want to do offense. I want to hurt stuff. Hurting stuff is better. This also locks you into getting her cast, and I don't totally think her cast is all that great compared to other casts. So yeah, B tier. That's all right. It's not bad. Up in A tier, we have Aphrodite. Aphrodite's legendary boon puts 3 different curses from 3 different sources on anything that is weaked, which means it automatically activates Origination, and Origination is quite good. Like, that's long and short of it. It activates Origination. That's really good, and it automatically does it as well, so you don't have to, like, fuss around. The only reason it's not an S tier is because, like, if you already have weak, you're halfway to Origination. You just need one more effect. Demeter has 2. Apollo has 1. Hephaestus has 1 that's a little harder to get. Poseidon has 1 that's a little harder to get. Zeus has easy ones. Hera has easy ones. So I don't know. I just feel like activating Origination isn't, you know, that big of a deal, but it's still a big deal. So yeah, A tier. It's pretty solid. I had a lot of fun with it, testing it and getting it going. It's definitely better depending on your sources of weak. Obviously, if you have it on your mana recovery, that just makes everyone next to you weak. That's very easy to activate. If it's on the dash, it's pretty hard to activate. Or not pretty hard, just relatively hard compared to the cast, which is the baby bear in the middle, and the mana recovery, which is just everyone all the time, forever. Speaking of things that are pretty great but have things holding them back, Zeus. Shocking Loss is fantastic for clearing mobs. It destroys just a quarter of the enemies, just 1 in 4 enemies dies. That gets better if you have success rate from Hermes. So yeah, that's pretty good. Can't really complain about that, unless I wanted to. And if I did want to complain about it, I would say it doesn't work on bosses. So, you know, I get why they can't do that. I get why they can't have it so that, you know, 25% of the time you hit a boss and it dies instantly. But just having 25% less enemies to deal with, that's really good in basic rooms, and a lot of bosses summon a bunch of ads. You can kill those ads really, really fast with this. So I think it's great. I also think it's really great when paired with Hera, because if you have Hitch and you apply Hitch first before the Shocking Loss, that damage, that 9,999 damage, it does Hitch. So Hitch in it's pretty goddamn good, because you get like, what, 30% of 9,999, which is like 3,300. So I think 3,000 damage after you've done 9,000 damage, yeah, that's pretty good. It basically blows everything up. I think it pairs really well there. That's an if, that's not a when, so can't put it up in S tier, but I can say, you know, this is good. This is really good. The lighting didn't change and my shirt and hair are exactly the same. What are you talking about? I didn't forget Poseidon. How could I forget Poseidon? He's in A tier. King's Tide makes all of your wave effects do 200% more damage to bosses, and it makes them bigger. That's just a great upgrade. If you're rocking the Poseidon boons that put this in your boon pool, I think this is a no-brainer to take. Only reason I'm keeping it out of S tier is it's definitely better on faster weapons, since splash damage is an additional effect on each hit. Like it's a flat number that gets added, not a percentage. So something like the daggers or the torches would be ideal. On something like the axe, it's a little worse. You probably want to go for like an Apollo or a Aphrodite, and then you don't have splash on it. And then, well, obviously this isn't as good if you're not using a lot of splash effects. Something weird to note, the splash from the dash isn't a splash. The dash has no splash, but the Omega move splash is a splash. So get that, you know, if you're getting this, you can get that and you can get any other attack or special boon, but this is definitely way better if you have way more splash effects on way more things. So, you know, torches, daggers, King's Tide. It's great. But what if you wanted just every enemy to have 10% less health? Every fight is 10% faster. Well, that's our first S tier. That's Demeter. In the God tier list, I said Demeter was C tier, but I always knew her legendary boon was S tier. It takes freeze from being, yeah, that's all right, to the best status effect in the game, because it just cuts 10% off everything's HP. It includes bosses. And in crowd rooms, when the things die at 10% from the frozen, they explode and do more damage. So it helps you spread it around and go faster. This is just a fantastic legendary boon, and there's not really a way it could be better. I mean, I guess it could be better if it killed things at 100%, but you know, that'd be broken, so can't do that. I don't really have much more to talk about, like 10% less. The boss has 10% less health. Great. Look at Typhon, look at Kronos, just whack. They're gone. You did it. 10% less of the fight. That is huge. And then my number one, my S tier is Hera, and all together now, because it's so good. Obviously, yeah, it's the top of S tier. I should think it's pretty good. But she gives you 4 boons for free, 4 elemental boons for free, and +1 to each of your elements. There is gonna be something really good in there. Wispy Winds is fantastic. That rock one that makes you do more damage is fantastic. That other rock one that makes you do more damage is fantastic. The fire one that makes you do more damage is fantastic. Air quality is good depending on what weapon you're using. I said it was bad in a previous video, but I guess it's conditional on the weapon you're using. If you're not using the axe or the skulls, it's pretty good. Air quality is pretty good. Sorry, air quality enjoyers. That's my bad. But you just get so many more boons, and that's also great because in Hera's kit, there is a boost to your damage depending on how many boon givers you have. This can increase that. If you get it paired with Hermes, who gives you dodge chance for every boon you have, that's, you know, 4 more boons, 5 more boons, because the legendary one counts too. So that's 5 more dodge chance on that Hermes boon if you get it. But we're not talking if, we're talking when. And when you get this, you just get 4 boons that are really good. You get better. You just get so much better. Sometimes they whiff. There are some that are conditional on you having like 5 air for air quality, or rallying for the Ares one, I think is like 8 rocks, you know? I don't have them all in front of me. You know what I'm talking about. Corey put it up there. You can see it right there. But I've never gotten this and not gotten 3 that worked out fantastically for me. You know, it's just, you are better. The boon at everything. And that's pretty fantastic. And that's pretty hard to put anywhere below S tier. It's my favorite legendary boon by far. So what do you think? Am I wrong? Am I also a bad person for having different opinions than you related to power-ups in a video game? I guess let me know, you weirdo. You can also agree with me. That'd be fine too. I think I'm right. Obviously, I'm the best Hades 2 player of all time. That's what I've said in all of these videos. I'm just the best at this game, and my opinions are objectively correct. Join the Patreon if you want to support the channel and you understand that I'm a sarcastic bean sometimes, and that I don't mean the things that I say, and they're for comedic effect. Check out the Magic the Gathering channel if you like Magic the Gathering and you like Hades, because we made some Hades cards in Magic the Gathering, and we're gonna make some more soon. Bye-bye!